Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams to everyone. Welcome to the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We will start with a very short bhajan and then we will begin our chapter.
Awesome. Are you able to hear us?
Are
Can
you
you
able
give
to
some
hear us?
thumbs up?
Are you able to hear us?
Yes,
If you can
Mataji.
thumbs up. Okay,
Mataji.
thank you.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Jaya Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari.
Yes. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much all for joining for the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And we just saw yesterday that how in the first chapter we had learned that both Arjuna and Krishna were observing the army. Apart from Arjuna and Krishna, we also had two other people who were observing the army, which is Duryodhana. We learned how Duryodhana was observing the army, and also we saw how Dhritarashtra was observing the army. And apart from that, just before we begin the second chapter, we will just do the Guru Pranama mantra and we'll take the blessings of the Guru. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजात सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखावतांश्च जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So just to recap, we are talking on based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and
Uh, Hare Krishna. I think we see that there are some hands raised. Are you people facing any issue? Can we just unmute one of them and find out as to why the hands are raised?
I think we had raised hands for the shloka recitation. We can just lower
Yes,
our
Mataji.
yes.
It is raised for shloka recitation.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Okay, then lower the hands. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So we saw yesterday that both Arjuna and Krishna were both of them were observing the army. Where we also had two other people who were observing the army. That is Duryodhana, who was observing the army differently, and also Dhritarashtra, who was observing the army. And here, both Arjuna and Krishna, we have to consider here that they are. I mean, Arjuna doesn't by himself not remember things. It's just that it's one of the mercy of Sri Krishna that we have to consider that Arjuna all of a sudden forgets that he is the bhakta, but that he is the bhakta, and also he wanted to ask these questions, and that's how he becomes very compassionate. And apart from being compassionate, he is also saying that that he becomes very compassionate, and also he is saying that I cannot go ahead with this war because there will be loss of enjoyment without my relatives, and also he's fearing the sinful reactions and also the destruction of family traditions, and also he's thinking that by doing so I will be raising certain very grave questions. And these were the questions that was asked by Arjuna, and he's giving many new reasons on why he should not be fighting or going ahead with the war. And we saw how it is related, very much related in our daily lives. These are the things that we go through, and also these are things that are very much related to our daily lives. And the connection is he is in indecision. He's confused that if I should go ahead with the war or not, where it becomes difficult for him to understand if I should move ahead with the current situation. And that's why it gets connected into the next chapter. This is how we get connected into the next chapter. So, in the next 18 days, we will also see there are two things that we always keep defining. What are they? One is the spiritual world and the material world. What is the spiritual world? Spiritual world is the abode of Krishna and also Vishnu, where where it is an eternal world. There is no. I see some hands raised. Unfortunately, we will not be taking questions now. We will be taking questions only in the middle whenever there's a that need arises, or in the last. If at all there is an urgent question,
Or
you
technical
can
issues, we
chat.
can
If there
chat.
is a technical issue, you can chat with me. Yes. If at all there is a technical issue, you can chat with me so that, or you can put it on chat if there is any urgent issue. But otherwise, I would really appreciate if all of us can focus and understand for some time, and then we can take questions. Because if we're taking questions in between, it becomes a very long conversation, and again, we'll have to revise. So it would be good if we can complete the chapter and then we revisit again. So we always refer to a spiritual world, and also we refer to the material world. What exactly is spiritual world? Well, spiritual world is a place where it's always eternal. It's Satchit Ananda. It's always happiness over there, and there is no dualities. And Krishna is the one who is taking care of both spiritual and material worlds. However, material world is usually considered to be like a jail where we have dualities, and happiness and sorrow is always, there is if there is happiness, we have sorrow. If there is if we have winters, we have summers. So it's not permanent, but however, in the Krishna's world, it's always nice, and also it's always permanently happiness. So you have to remember this term because we will be revisiting so many times that what are these. And second confusion that usually people have whenever we talk about the spiritual world and the material world is that it's about the heavenly planets. We think that heavenly planets are actually the spiritual world also. No, actually, heavenly planets is also between the material world. It still comes under the material world. I'm just giving a very short summary of it, but we will be seeing this in the coming chapters. We will be going in detail in the coming chapters, but for now you just remember the spiritual world we are defining as Krishna's world, which is always happy, and material world where there is dualities and it's always having some kind of shortcomings. Now we are starting with our second chapter, and second chapter it's we will be here. Here we see that Krishna is called. We're just trying to summarize the entire second chapter, where in the first 10 verses, Arjuna becomes he's actually lamenting in the first 10 verses, and he submits himself. That is, he submits himself to Krishna. All this time he was treating him like a friend, but now he is trying to slowly move into the relationship of a guru. And apart from that, he is trying to understand what is his real identity. What am I? Who am I? This is the identity that all of us are curious to have. And third, he's trying to understand, apart from who am I, he's trying to contemplate his uh, he's trying to contemplate within himself, what is my dharma, what is my true dharma, what am I supposed to do, what is my swadharma, what is my own duties, and what are my prescribed duties. And the last one is how a person who is very stable, what does he do? A sthita prajna, what does he do? These are the things that he's trying to understand, and we will learn these are the things that we will be learning in detail. So here it's when we see this tree, whenever we see this tree, when we are far away from the tree, we see that we can't see the details. When we are extremely far, we see that okay, there is a tree, there's a very 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 tiny tree, but as we go closer and closer, we'll see that there are leaves. And apart from leaves, it gets revealed to us that there are branches, leaves, if there are birds, if there are any ants. So the great detail gets revealed. However, when it comes to the spiritual world, when we are talking about our this particular analogy, why are we talking? Because when we see, we can't see the complete vision. Our vision is not perfect. Whereas in the spiritual world, if I say it's mamta, it's about everything, about myself, everything. It comes across like that. So over here in the material world, when we see the tree, we see that okay, there is a tree, but when we go closer, the detail gets revealed that there is a parrot on it, and the parrot is trying to munch on the fruits, and it's trying to pick a fruit. So these are the details that cannot be seen just by one look for us. So our vision is not perfect. This is what we need to understand, that we have to we have to have some we have some of the imperfect senses. Now I would like to ask a question. Just let me just switch my screen. Yes. So let's say that we just discussed that we have imperfect senses. See the participant list. Yes. Okay. So we have imperfect senses. Can you all, if you know, can you all list down what are those imperfect senses that we have? If you know, who can answer that question? If you can raise your hand, Kavin.
Like seeing,
Hearing. Okay. Varija.
so the first sight,
Fine.
sight,
Right?
Yes,
sight.
right. Yes, it's imperfect because when we see, we are not exactly seeing what is actually truth. What is the absolute truth? We can't see it straight away. Correct. Thank you very much. Ritu. I think Ritu has a problem with unmute.
Okay, we'll go to Vishnu.
Okay. So the first imperfect sense is sight.
Yes, thank you very much.
Second is hearing.
Thank you.
Third is smelling
Thank you.
and taste.
Thank you very much. So these are the senses which we have it. These are the senses that you just discussed. So we are having imperfect senses. We cannot see what exactly is absolute. So because of this, whenever we are taking any decision, whenever we're considering any decision by ourselves, because of these imperfect senses, we are unable to make a proper decision. But then, how do I make a proper decision? The proper decision has to be coming from somebody who knows the absolute truth. So this is where Krishna will, this is where Krishna is actually the one who is the guru, who is the supreme guru, who has given the knowledge to us, and the knowledge is coming from him. But there are different types of realization that happens with Krishna. How? For example, we saw that when we were far away, we saw that there is a tree, and when we go close, we see that there is a bird, and it's munching away, it's trying to munch away the fruits, it's trying to find the best fruit. In the same way, when we or devotees try to approach Krishna, we see three types of realization. First, we see that there is a huge, bright, very very bright effulgence coming from Krishna. Now, when I'm talking about this, there are two things that we need to understand. One, the sunshine that we are getting, that is actually coming from the supreme, the spiritual planets. From spiritual planets, even sun takes his energy of giving us sunshine from the spiritual world. And that's why there is a that's called as Brahman effulgence, and that's what we call it as sunshine. And when we go a little more closer, we see that there is a bird sitting, and also there are branches. So when we go closer to Krishna, that is where we are referring to the our sun disk and the Paramatma, who's also in all of us, who's sitting in all of us, in each one of us. He's sitting in our chest, and he is directing us. And how do we take that direction? We take that direction taking the shelter of a guru. When we take the shelter of a guru, automatically Krishna. So, how do I take the shelter of a guru? I pray to Krishna that right now I would like to know more and more about you, and more about Krishna and about myself, so that I am able to understand what exactly is my duties. How should I perform my duties? And why am I over here? Who am I? Why am I here? These are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. So we see that there is from when we see from far away, we see there is a effulgence. And when we go a bit closer to Krishna, we are seeing that we have Paramatma inside us also. And that we call it as sun disk. And also we have Bhagwan. So when we go extremely close, when we have a relationship, when we think that Krishna is like our father, Krishna is like my mom, Krishna is like my friend, Krishna is like my child. So we pray Krishna in various relationship forms. When we pray Krishna in various relationship forms, when we start realizing that when we start having a relationship with him, automatically we feel that he is the Bhagavan, he is the Supreme Lord. So these are the ways that devotees approach and are able to reciprocate with Krishna. Now, so when we go closer and closer, first, how do we go closer to Krishna? We can go closer to Krishna only, for example, if I say, I want to go closer to you, and please, I want to understand myself. I want to know why am I taking, why have I taken birth in this world? Who am I? Why am I here? When you start getting these questions, Krishna will automatically send his his help through a guru. Now you're all sitting over here. How did you sign up for this course? All of you have done something extremely great endeavors in your previous lives or even in this lives that I want to be learning about Krishna. And that's how this you have all got this prashadam of receiving this knowledge and sitting here for the 18-day course. Now, Krishna is assisting all of us from inside in the form of a guru, and we should take assistance not from everybody. We should take it from the bona fide guru who is the devotee of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada is actually a very, very, very great devotee of the Lord, and you're in the right place to receive the knowledge in the right direction. So, Krishna, when you ask questions to him, he will direct you to the right places, and hence we are here to learn about the Guru also. When what does Srila Prabhupada say about Krishna? Srila Prabhupada says the person who is Bhagwan is actually having all types of riches, and he's all strength, he's all strong, and he's all fame. Like he's so famous. If you've seen, we've heard Krishna's pastimes every single year, every single day, but still you will not get bored. But if you see, after seeing a movie for 5 6 times, you might get bored, but if you see Krishna's pastimes, we never get bored. And he's all beauty, he is the most attractive, and that's why his name is called as Krishna. The word Krishna itself means all attractive. And he's all knowledge, like he knows the knowledge of, when he's seeing the closer, when we see the tree, we don't know if there is a parrot sitting eating its fruits, but over here when we see Krishna, that is, Krishna knows that even if there is the parrot sitting on the tree, he can see that as well. And he's all renounced. Even though he's able to see everything, he's having a relationship with all of us. He's also completely renounced. Now, well, we will see that in the first 10 verses, Krishna gets a complete surrender from the his disciple, that is Arjuna, saying that he's completely confused, and he's now trying to understand that he has these weaknesses. That's why we were actually trying to understand that we are all having imperfect senses, and due to our imperfect senses, we get confused. How do we perform our duties? What are our duties? And the first shloka goes, कार्पण्यदोषोपहता स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता यच्छ्रेयस्यान् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Does anyone else want to recite as well? We can unmute. You can raise your hand if you wish to recite the shloka. Arnav, Kavin. Kavin, you can recite.
Okay. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Thank you. Hari Bol. That was very nice chanting.
Yes, Prakriti also wants to.
Prakriti, unmute yourself, please.
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Thank you. One last person. Hari Bol. Very nice chanting.
Harshini.
Praharshini. I think she's unable to unmute. We'll go to Shravan. He's unable to unmute as well. So,
Okay.
Shreya.
Yes, ma'am. कैपन्यदोषोपता रक्षामि त्वं धर्मसमुद्धाकीता यक्ष्यश्रेयास्यान् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यतेऽहं सधि मम त्वां प्रापनम्.
Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for trying. So in this shloka, we see that Arjuna completely surrenders himself to Krishna. So, what does he say? He says, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of the miserly weakness. So, we have these miserly means very, very shortcomings that we have, and we have very, very, very bad weaknesses. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me what is for certain, what is best for me. Now I'm your disciple. So he's no more his friend. He's saying, I'm disciple of yours and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So he's saying, I'm not able to do anything from my own. My gross senses, I cannot do anything. Please, you guide me. You guide me in the right form, in the right direction, so that I can see what exactly is the truth, because my senses are imperfect and your senses are the most supreme. And so, in the same way, we also have our body, which is passing through many, many lifetimes. We will go to the next shloka, which identifies. So, in this way, how Arjuna has already identified himself as a body, we all also have to understand that we are also entrapped in this body. So, we will learn more about the soul today. We will learn how exactly we are not this body and we are the soul, and the real identification of the body, how we have been understanding all these years, and what is the real identification, and how exactly the birth, what exactly happens after birth and death. So, these are the things that we will be covering. And the shloka that we could start with is Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara prapte धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. If anyone wants to chant, we can take some participants. You can raise your hand if you wish to chant.
Shall I unmute Mataji?
Yes, yes, Mataji, please.
Prakriti?
Yes, देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरा प्राप्ते धीरसत्तत्र न मुह्यति.
Hari bol, very nice chanting.
I think we have Kadala who wants to as well, right? Nidhisha, Kadala and Nidhisha.
Yes, Kadala, would you like to chant as well? You're unmuted.
Yes, ma'am.
You're raising your hand for a long.
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौ कौमारं युवानं जारत तथा देहान्तरा प्राप्तिरसतारा न मह्याति.
Dhirastatra na muhyati. Hari bol, thank you very much for trying. So, what does it mean? What does this shloka mean? Dehi nosmin, that is in this body. There is another body inside this body. That is dehi nosmin yatha dehe. Inside the body, there is another body. That is which passes kaumaram yovanam jara, from the boyhood to the youth. Tatha dehantara propter. That is, even though we are passing away from our boyhood to youth, after that, after death also, it passes into another body. From even after moving from childhood to birth and everything, again it passes into another body. So as an embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, what is Krishna saying over here? And one more fact that I missed out earlier is that this is the first time, after the entire chapter of Bhagavad Gita, of first chapter, he did not talk. But this is the first time Krishna starts to speak. And this is one of the important fact that we need to know, that second chapter is where Krishna starts to speak and he starts giving his very valuable lessons. And what does Krishna say over here? He's saying, as an embodied soul. So we have the soul, and above the soul there is a covering on the soul, and this covering is actually passing over. For example, when we are small, we don't remain small forever. We just keep growing, and then our body keeps growing, like the soul also keeps moving from one body to another. So when I'm small, the soul is also, the soul is entertaining this small body, and then again it's taking over, becoming bigger, and then again it passes away. We die, and then again we take another body. So what is, we need to ask these questions to ourselves. What is our real identity? This is where we need to know what is our real identification, and we have to understand, okay, I am born, and then I'm actually staying for some time, and then I grow and grow, and after growing bigger again I dwindle, where I grow very old and dwindle, and then I die. So the soul actually passing inside this body itself, there are incarnations, and then again you're taking over another body. And here is where we need to understand how our soul, for example, if you see the cage, our body is a cage. We have to consider our body like a cage where the soul is sitting inside. Soul has its own wishes, and it's not able to do what it's supposed to be doing because it has forgotten what it's supposed to be doing, and it's sitting inside the cage. It's thinking that I'm this body, I'm supposed to be enjoying this body, like I have to eat something very yum, I have to watch a nice movie, or I have to, I want to do all the things that gives me so much enjoyment. But remember, yesterday we heard that Krishna is the Rishikesha. He is the master of senses. So when we start serving Krishna, automatically our soul becomes very happy. So for our body, we need yummy, yummy food. We need all those things, but for our soul, there is something very important that it requires. When we feed this thing to our soul, that is, when we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So whenever we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the soul is happy and it gets fed. So for my body, I feed food. I always give whatever is required for my body, but I have to take care of my soul also. How do I take care? I have to start chanting. When I chant, automatically my soul feels happy, and we will not feel that agitation. How do I do my work? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to see things? All these questions are automatically resolved by chanting. Now, in the verse, while we are discussing about the soul, we also should know that our soul is very, very, very tiny. Even though it is so tiny, it's giving so much effulgence and it's trying to drive this body. How tiny is our soul? Our soul is 10,000 part of tip of our hair. So you can imagine that, it's so tiny. You can make a note of this. It's so tiny that it's actually, when you take a tip of your hair and take a tip of your hair, divide it 1,000 times, and then again divide it 1,000 times, and that's the calculation of the soul. It's so tiny, but it's so powerful that it is driving this entire body with the help of the Paramatma. And we are eternal souls, and we are actually eternal spirit souls inhabiting in this temporary body. The soul is always there, but only this body, it grows and it throws away the smaller body, and then again it takes another body. Now, when the soul takes another body at the time of death, well, the soul actually is there, it's eternal, but the body is changing every time. So here we see in the picture, we are in the, small baby form, and then we grow up. Again, the soul is again passes away from the when we die, our soul passes away out of the body. Again, it comes back into the same. So we are in this cycle of birth. Again, we grow, we stay for some time like that, and then we dwindle, where we are shaky, shaky, shaky. Again, we die, and the soul, you see the small glowy part, so the soul comes out of the body, and then it says, okay, I don't have this body anymore, I need to move on. Then it goes to the next body, and it thinks, okay, let me eat in yummy, yummy food, I want to go play in the park, I want to have some nice enjoyment. All of these we take. Okay, when they grow up, this is my house, my body, my work. All these identifications we make, and then again we die, and then so this way the this birth, life, death, all this cycle keeps moving on. Now, to give a very easy thing to understand is we just want to we when we are having we have a we are just trying to compare over here with the soul and the driver. Now we have a bike, we have a we have a cycle, and we have a trike and a bike and a car. But can the bike or the trike or the car go by itself? It cannot go by itself. Somebody has to sit inside and drive this particular vehicle. If nobody is sitting in the vehicle, we cannot drive, or it doesn't go by itself. It just sits there. So who is the person who is driving it? That's the person who is sitting inside. So that is nothing but our soul, which is sitting inside, and it's saying, you know what, pick up a glass and drink water. You know what, I need to now go do some work which will make me happy. So these are the instructions that we are getting from our soul. But however, we have forgotten what exactly is our work, and that is what we will be learning in the coming chapters. So we saw that our body is having we have a body, and we also have a soul. Now, what are the differences? How do I recognize if I'm the what are the work, what does a body do, and how does the body behave, and how does the soul behave, and what is a soul? And the basic and the very basic difference is the body is just a matter. What is a matter? Now it's made out of the five elements like earth, water, air, fire. It's made out of these elements, where when we saw that when we die here, when we die, we get mixed into the soil, and we just leave our body. So when we die, the body is completely gone into the soil, and it gets perished. So in the same way, the matter is actually a dead particle, but the soul is driving this matter, which is sitting inside the body, and it's driving. And matter in itself has no consciousness. Like the driver has consciousness, but the car does not have any of its own thoughts or anything like that. But the driver has a thought: I want to go left, I want to go right, I want to do this, I want to do that. So the driver has thoughts, but the soul is the one who is driving, but the matter in itself has no consciousness. And the body goes through many changes. It goes through the old age, disease, death, birth, small, big, youth. It goes through these changes, but the soul is eternal. It always remains in itself. There is no change for the soul. And body is temporary, because when we die, the body also perishes. Yes, someone is writing that body has no consciousness, correct? And but the soul is eternal. It's always there, and nobody can do anything to our soul. They cannot touch our soul. And the body or the matter is a dead part. It's like if you see a soil or anything, does it have life? It doesn't have life. It just sits there. But then this soul is alive. It can do things. It can also have a lot of desires. But the matter, that is soil, cannot have its own desire. Soil just sits there, or the water just sits there, it just flows away, or air, it just flows away. So, and the voice or anything, that just does whatever we are trying to drive. But the matter doesn't do anything in itself. But we are alive, we do things, we are very, very, very active, we are super active. So this is what it's these are the differences, basic differences of a body and a soul. Now, how do I identify myself? So we mentioned that we take bodies. We just take, after our birth, we keep taking another body, is what we understood. But here we have to also understand that I'm not only accepting another human body, after death, I'm also accepting various animal bodies. So in some lifetime, I would have been an animal. What kind of an animal? I could be any animal. I could be a bear, a dog, a hog, or a tiger, or a chimpanzee, or a shark, or I could be any one of these animal species. And because I was any one of these animal species, I could take I'm actually able to take any one of these species and lives. Why am I taking these species and lives? This is food for thought. We should understand, why am I taking so many species? What is the desire that I have due to which I'm taking these species? So here we understand that we are taking various types of species. And what are those species? Make a note of this. We have 84 lakh species. So we have 84 lakh species, and these are the number of species and lives that we take before we take a human life. So before we come into this human life, we are actually taking we are taking 84 lakh species, and this is the cycle that we go through before we take human life. And when we get human life, we have to treasure it. Why we have to treasure it? Because when we treasure that, I have to see, uh, I don't want to do what an animal is doing. An animal can eat, animal, even animal grows up and then even animal dies. But there is a difference between animal and me. I'm able to think. Krishna has given me a chance to think. I have to think, why am I here? The supreme cause. What am I supposed to do? These are the things that a human can think, and he can elevate his consciousness, but a animal body cannot do that. Only we can elevate our consciousness and think, I have done some kind of a sin and I need to go back to the spiritual world. That consciousness is why Krishna has given human form of body, to give this thinking power. Now, what is our true identification? So we saw that our body has our body can go through so many changes. Because of these changes, we also have some other changes. We have to understand, we are scientifically now understanding what are those changes. So, because of these changes, how am I supposed to be stopping my duties? Am I supposed to be continuing with my duties? Or should I just cease my duties? What am I supposed to do? This is what we're going to see now in this verse, which is the identification and my duties. What are my duties? One must perform prescribed duties regardless of any difficulty that comes. First, we need to identify what exactly is my duty, and I need to do my duty without fail. I should not stop my duties, I should continue my duties. So, for one's purification, we have to do this duty. We can't stop this duty thinking, now I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, I don't need to do any other work. No, we need to be a very good child. We need to be a very good sister. We need to be a very good student. We need to be a very good friend. We need to be very good son. So, these are the duties that we have. We need to perform our duties properly. And the shloka goes like this. मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखदा आगमापायिनो नित्यास्तां स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. So it's saying here that, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearances of happiness and distress. So the distress and happiness are actually non-permanent. We cannot have always winters. I have not seen the entire year having only winters. No, after winters there will be summers. And I will not laugh the entire day. It's not possible. I will not continuously keep laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing, or I cannot continuously cry and cry. So it keeps coming, crying, laughing. Many expressions that we do, they're all temporary, and it comes out of our feelings from inside. We don't do that by ourselves. It's coming from ourselves, from inside. I feel happiness, I feel distress. These are coming from inside. Why am I getting this? These are the questions you should ask. Why am I getting these temporary happiness, temporary distresses? These are the things that we need to understand and think. As children, we are having thinking power, so we have to understand that we need to increase our capacity to thinking the right questions. So this is how, when you're thinking these questions, you are purifying yourself and understanding what is my real duty, and you're elevating yourself, you're bringing yourself to the higher consciousness. I see that Shrey and Prakriti have raised hands. You have a question there?
Prakriti can unmute.
Prakriti can unmute.
Oh, I just wanted to say the verse one time.
Okay, sure.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखदा आगमापाहिनो नित्यास् सांस्थितिक्षस्व भारत.
Haribol, very nice chanting. Do you have anyone raised? Sahasra? Sahasra can chant. You can unmute yourself.
So I
I think
Okay.
you have logged into two devices. You might have to.
Ratna Prabha wanted to chant, I guess. Yeah, Ratna Prabha. I think she's facing an issue.
I think she's facing an issue. Probably Dhriti Shri. Would you like to chant? You've raised your hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोषसुखदुःखः अगमापायो नित्यः शान्तिशिक्षा भारत.
Haribol, thank you very much for trying. It's Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada Agama Paino Nitya Stam Stithichasva Bharata. So we saw in this particular shloka how this changes of like winters and summers are very inevitable, and destruction of the body is also very, very inevitable. So just like how winters will come and go, in the same way we take birth and we perish. These are very, very inevitable. Inevitable in the sense it's not something that we have a control over. We have to take birth, we have to die, and we have to take birth again, we have to die. So this is a continuous process. But how do I stop this process? That's the question that we need to be thinking about and understanding. So what is the next? We will see what is the soul's characteristics. So soul has certain very typical characteristics which are very, very important for us to understand. We'll see in the next three shlokas. It's Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Means our body, that is, we saw that our material world has dualities, but the spiritual world does not have dualities. It has permanent happiness. In the same way, even our soul is Sat, that is, it's eternal. It's there since eternity. It's always there. So, and also it has full knowledge. It has full knowledge, just like how when Krishna is seeing a tree, he can see the tree, he can see the branch, he can see the twigs, he can see the leaves, he can see the birds, he can see birds eating fruits. All of this can be seen with one vision. In the same way, even our soul has such a capability. But we are in the material world, and because of this material world, our soul is completely covered. And because of this covering, we are not able to see, and these are the imperfect. Our body has become imperfect because soul is very, very pure, but it's become impure. uh, yes, so let me just complete once chanting, and then I will give a chance to others also to chant. The shloka is न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Yes, Ayush, you can unmute yourself.
नाइजायातमयातमे वाइकदिश्रिगन् नायमन भूतवा बबिता भाना बोया ajonitaya sasvato yam purano
Thank you very
na
much for trying.
hanyamani.
Yes. Na hanyate hanyamani. Hanyate means nobody can. Very good trying. Very good trying. Thank you very much. We will take one more person.
Kavin.
Okay. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
Very bold. Very nice chanting. Last,
Yes.
Sanihit. Sannihit. Sorry, I might be pronouncing your names wrong.
Ram Prakash, Sanhit Ram Prakash.
Sannihit Ram Prakash, you can unmute yourself.
It's Anihitram Palle.
Yes, thank you very much. You can recite if you wish to.
Na jayate mriyate va karasin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya ajo nitya sasvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sarasri.
Sharire. Sharire. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. So, what does it say in this particular shloka? This shloka says that for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. So, the body has birth and death, but the soul has no birth or death. Make a note of this. It's very important that our soul that cannot be dying. Only the body dies. He has not coming to being, so he does not coming to being, and he will not coming to being, so he was not going to be it's not like he is going to be born. Soul is not born, it's always there, eternally there. And someone saying that I don't get what you mean by there is a covering over the soul. Yes. So covering over the soul is the body, which is made out of five elements, which is earth. Say, for example, we have this cheek and also hands and body. All of this actually are made out of five elements, which we will be seeing in the coming chapters. We'll be seeing first in the seventh chapter and eighth chapter. We will be seeing in future. Sorry, sixth chapter we will be seeing again. So we will be seeing how exactly this body is made out of some five elements, which is the covering that we have over the soul. I'll show the picture of it in those chapters, that our soul is there and soul is covered with these five elements of the skin and everything. If you see the skin and everything, when we put something out of the cream and all those things, it becomes a part of part of the body. That's actually soil, and that's how when we apply cream, it just soaks into our body. So these are the materialistic things, the materials, the material that we have around us, it's made out of that. What are the material that we have? We have air, water, fire, ether, we have all of this, it's made out of that. That's this what we have to understand. But for now, just understand in a, we'll just go step by step. For your understanding now, just understand that we have this soul, which is a very glowy part, which is driving like a driver, it's driving the car to move ahead. And so it is never born. So this soul has no birth. If there's no birth, it's always eternally there. And it's always existed, and it's ever existing. It's always existed, it's ever existing, and it's primeval means it's like very old. So my body is like having birth and death, but my soul, it's like it's there forever, for many millennia it's there. Many millennia it's there. And next we have, so what is death? In that case, when my soul doesn't come into being, my soul has no birth, my soul has no death, then what is it death? Why am I so scared of death? What exactly is it that we are referring over here? Does anyone wants to chant the shloka? If you wish to chant the shloka, you can raise your hand.
Prakriti.
Prakriti?
Should I chant? Should I chant?
Yes, please.
वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय अन्वानि गृह्णान्ति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अरण्यसंयति नवानि देहि.
Thank you very much. Very nice chanting. Who else wants to chant? Arav? Arav Chaudhary?
Mataji,
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So Vasmi Jer Ani Yata Viha An Anav Veni Gar Nasti Naro par ani tasta tatata sari sarir ani sar
Thank
sar I ir ani with
Sarirani.
vihai vihai. Okay, so jer and ya
Jirnani.
Jirnani.
any any anya samyati nav ani tehi.
Yes, thank you very much, Arav. I also want to mention over here that the shloka is a bit incorrect over here. Sorry for this typing mistake. It's anyani. It's not V over here. It's actually a Y. It's supposed to be a Y. I'm sorry from my error from my side.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes, yes,
Mataji,
Mataji.
can we disable the chat? There are a lot of disturbances. I think we'll disable the chat.
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Please tell them not to.
And Hari Krishna, it would be great if we can just hold on for some more time and then we can start asking. We'll give you a chance to talk. You can ask all your questions at the end of the session. I would like to address all your questions. Today, I will not leave unless I address each and every question. So I request everyone to please stop chatting in between or mentioning what exactly your questions. Write down all your questions in a notebook, and end of the class, we will address all your questions. So, yeah. So, what is death? What exactly is death? Let's understand what exactly is death. And in this particular shloka, we will learn about that, which is Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya anyani grahanati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. So, as a person puts new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old useless ones. So what exactly it is? It means that the body, we keep change when we wake up in the morning, we take a shower and we change our dress. And again, we wake up in the morning, take a shower and change our dress. So like that, our body also is like we keep changing our bodies, birth, death. This cycle keeps going on. So we have to understand that this is common, and this is how our soul is trying to enjoy only this body and not trying to understand why we are trying to think that we are enjoying. We are thinking that we are enjoying, but we are in a misconception that we are enjoying. We are not able to understand the actuality or the real position, and that's how we are going through this cycle of death and birth. So what is the soul? Soul is actually a soul. There is no other, this one more definition for it. And what exactly? But soul has so many, many, many features. And another great feature about soul is, this is all we can say that there's so many definitions of soul. What exactly are they? Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. न चैनं क्लेदयन्तापो न शोषयति मारुतः. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead because I want to complete the session and we are running short of time. We will let you chant once the class is over. The soul can never be cut into pieces by a weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So, can you believe that it can never be cut by any kind of weapon? There is no weapon in this anywhere. There's no weapon anywhere in spiritual or material world to cut this soul. There, it cannot be burnt. Nobody can cut. Nothing can cut this particular soul. Although our body, just by fire, just by a little bit of accident, it can cut and it can break. But this particular body cannot be. And also, it cannot be moistened. You can get any kind of chemical and try to, touch the soul, but it can nobody can even touch the soul or even moisten the soul. And no wind can blow it away. The wind cannot blow away soul just can move from one place to another place, but you cannot just do anything to the soul. Nobody can. So only the soul can decide if it wants to go right, left, or where it wants to do, what it wants to do, but nobody else can do anything to the soul itself. So, what are the features of the soul? Soul is actually an individual and it's indestructible. This is what we'll see in second chapter, 18th verse to 23rd verse. and it's eternal. It's always there and it's immeasurable. Nobody can, there is no instrument that I can get like a lens or something and measure how big it is or how small it is. Nobody can measure that. It has only got that it's one, 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. Why? How did we get this information? Krishna told us, and that's how we are able to receive this knowledge through our gurus. It's immovable. It's all pervading. So it's, I can't say soul is sitting on my head or in my chest or in my hand or in my leg. No, it's actually all pervading. It's throughout my body. It's across my body. And it's unchangeable. Just like body, see, we have this body, but the soul cannot be changing. Only the body changes and it keeps growing bigger or smaller, but the soul doesn't change. Soul is always same. It's just there across the body, and it's unchangeable. Soul is always same. It cannot be changed to another, like from water to, you can convert it to steam or something like that. It cannot happen like that. And it's invisible. Nobody can see the soul. And also it's inconceivable, means I cannot perceive from my material senses or gross senses what exactly it is. So it's inconceivable. We cannot understand the how it is coming to being and all those things. We cannot understand that. It can only be given to us by our gurus. So, we have heard about we saw about birth, we saw about death, and also there is something called as rebirth and reincarnation. What is rebirth and reincarnation is what we'll see in this particular shloka. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहायथे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. One who has taken birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. So, Krishna is getting so many types of arguments from Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, how can I, kill my own family members? There will be loss of, family traditions. He is saying, he's giving his all types of indecisions why he doesn't want to wage this war. And here he's saying, uh, you know, that I have, but Krishna is trying to give this, give this knowledge to Arjuna that one who has taken birth is anyway sure to die. So what is there? You can kill. It's okay to wage this war. You just think of me and you go ahead with the war. It's not a problem at all. Is what Krishna is trying to drive Arjuna. So one who has taken birth has to die. That's normal. You're going to maybe kill now and they will go to a better place, but if you don't kill also, they are anyway going to die. This is what he's trying to conclude. So don't lament, don't feel bad, and don't feel distress or grief. So this chapter is completely like the previous chapter. He was in complete grief that why should I go ahead with this fight. So now we saw that these are the things that we have. We are not this body, we are this soul. So what is the dharma of the soul? What is my actual work, real work? We have two types of dharma. Dharma is swadharma, that is my own occupation and the worldly duty, and the sanatana dharma, that is eternally what am I supposed to do. Eternal dharma is my spiritual identity. My body, my spiritually, I am spiritually identified through Krishna. That is the Sanatana dharma. I have duties towards that, and I have other duties also to my worldly matters. Like for my body, I have the duties. I am actually a son, child, brother, sister. So these are the duties I have as a body, and I have to perform those duties, and also I have to perform spiritual duties. When I perform spiritual duties, automatically my soul becomes very, very happy. And at the same time, I have to perform my specific worldly duties because that's actually required. Our dharma must be, our actual dharma is to bring ourselves into Krishna consciousness. And how do we begin? We begin by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So to avoid any typical, Hindu misunderstanding, these are the Swadharma and Sanatana Dharma, where the consequences of avoiding Dharma, if we don't perform our Dharma, we incur sin, and it leads into infamy and it leads into dishonor. So Krishna is giving the third argument over here. Krishna is saying that if you don't perform your duty of kshatriya, what is the duty of a kshatriya? Protecting others. If you don't protect others, you are not doing your duty. Your duty is to protect others, and you're running away from your duty by not protecting others, and you will be incurring the sin, and it is also leading into infamy where you'll become infamous, and also you'll have a lot of dishonor. People will give bad arguments on how Arjuna was a very coward person and he ran away from the battlefield. So he's giving the third argument here. So there are two dharmas we saw. So he's saying, "O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain to the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. So go ahead with the doing this particular war. Therefore, get up with determination and fight." So Krishna is chastising as a guru. He's chastising him. You should do your duties. Your enemies will describe you. What will your enemies say? Your enemies will say your enemies will give you all kind of unkind words. Now you're running away thinking even though you're capable, you're running away. By running away, people will give unkind words and they will scorn you for your abilities. And what should be more painful than this? Even though you're able, you're not doing it, means that you're running away from your fight, and this will be give you more infamy. And so apart from reading so why is Krishna saying these are the duties? So these duties, even if you are doing it in very small quantities, whatever little you do, thinking that this is my duty, that is going to take us a very very long way. How? Krishna is saying in this shloka, neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and little advancement towards this path can protect us from the most dangerous type of fear. So, what is the fear? Fear of birth and death. We will be moving away from this cycle of birth and death. So, to move away from this birth and life and death, you have to have that small, very small desire of me. I want to know what exactly is Krishna and how exactly I can attain Krishna. So if you are thinking even little bit and doing your duties in a very small quantity also, Krishna will recognize those things. For example, there's a very very small and short pastime about Lord Rama and the squirrel. So you might have heard that Lord Rama constructed a bridge to reach the Lanka to bring Sita Mai. So while during in this endeavor, what this small squirrel did is that apart from the huge rocks that were thrown into the waters into the sea of Lanka, where we had huge vanaras who were helping Rama, even the squirrel also helped. It took very tiny, very, very tiny stones, whatever little it can do. It took these tiny stones and it started picking and putting it into the bridge. And it also helped in this construction of the bridge. And Lord Ram, so merciful he is that he recognized that you're so tiny and you're also helping me in this small endeavor. So very important thing is the bhava, the bhakti that this small squirrel had, and the love towards Krishna or Ram that this particular small squirrel had is what Krishna is seeing. So that love is what Krishna loves the most. And we should all try to please Krishna with that little love that I want to be doing what exactly Krishna wants. And that's when he'll become happy and he will be merciful to bless you. So you will get eternal credit by doing this small path of goodness, and you will be leading into Bhakti Yoga, which is also called as Nishkama Karma Yoga, where you're thinking, let me do everything, thinking God is the supreme, and I will offer all the fruits to Krishna. That's how we need to
Just
think.
like this.
So just like how all of you are thinking, if you can go, if you want to, you can go play outside, you could do many things outside. But you have so nicely joined the class. You're sitting and patiently listening to what exactly is Mataji telling. And also you're listening to Krishna Katha, which is the most biggest austerity and it's also a big yagna. So any small, so Krishna is saying that any small service that you can perform, that is even if you perform, actually we should perform our duty every single minute. Every single minute we should think about Krishna. But even if you're performing this small tiny work also, Krishna will be very very small, very very nicely happy. So this was the pastime about the squirrel, and also we have a pastime about an elephant, which I will describe in the later chapters also. So this elephant was actually a very good and a nice king who was performing his prescribed duties. But for a very small mistake that he did, he turned himself into a elephant. He was turned into an elephant, and he was attacked by this particular crocodile. And when he was attacked by this crocodile, he was in deep, extreme pain. While he was in extreme pain, because he had done very good karma of performing his prescribed duties, Krishna knows. And when he called him, he came immediately to rescue his devotee. So Krishna is always very favorable towards his devotees, and he will help you in every single way that you want to be, that if you're in trouble or if you're in any form, if you're asking anything, Krishna will give you. He's so merciful. So we just saw that, where any small work that we do is very simple, very pleasing to Krishna. And what is important is that love towards Krishna is the most important part. And what is my duties then in Kali Yuga? I don't have, like, in ancient times I don't have different types of work. But what is my current work? How do I get involved myself in this work? All we need to do is very simple. We chant the holy names of Krishna. And what is the chanting of the holy name? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the Kali Yuga Dharma. In Kali Yuga, we have to chant to get closer to Krishna. So he's taken the sound incarnation, but as soon as we chant, Krishna is actually within us. He is right around us. So, uh, uh, in this chapter, the most important part comes. Sorry, actually, I'm exceeding my time because this is the second longest chapter, and that's why we have to cover like 72 verses in this chapter and trying to squeeze it completely so that you are able to get the gist of it. Something that's very important is someone who's a Atma Rama. Atma Rama is a person who's always steady in his consciousness, who's like, I want to do my perform my duty 100% 24 hours. And he never forgets Krishna. He always carries Krishna in his chest and he remembers him throughout the time. And that person is the one who is always steady in his Krishna consciousness. And so we need to understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit souls, and we are also, so it's like complete summary of what exactly, how we can summarize this chapter. We learned that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and happiness and sadness always comes and goes. And the only way is to surrender to Krishna, and we have to chant, and we have to, I mean, only by chanting we are able to perform our duties. And this is Krishna's mercy that he, in through these chapters, it's Krishna's mercy that he makes Arjuna forget his past so that he will give these wise questions. Krishna is asking these wise questions so that his devotees can benefit. And he's beginning to chastise in this chapter, and also he's beginning to chastise his friend, where he becomes, where Arjuna is able to perceive him as his guru. And he's saying that you have petty weaknesses. Why the beginning of the chapter in the seventh verse we saw that he's saying that you have this petty weaknesses, that is miserly weaknesses that you have, which will not take you anywhere. So please get up and fight. At least when you fight, you will go to the higher planets instead of remaining in this planet. And also he's saying that you're a fool. Don't be a fool. Just go ahead with what exactly is your duty. And we saw that how he chastises him as a guru, and we should take a bona fide spiritual master which is coming from the parampara. And so he surrenders, and in this chapter Arjuna also surrenders to Krishna, is what we see. And why does he do that? Why he's doing that? Why he's actually choosing only Arjuna is because he is his very dear devotee. And he likes him, and Krishna always likes his devotee. Remember, we heard yesterday, Bhakta Vatsala. He's a Bhakta Vatsala. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, everyone. I think
Yes,
I
we can
exceeded
take
my
some.
time. We
Yes,
can
we can
take
take
questions.
questions. In the chat, there was a question. What is a representation of 108? Are you able to hear us?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so there was a question somebody asked, what's the representation of 108? Well, if you have noticed, the chanting or the beads that we have, it's 108, and this represents Krishna as the head bead. There is one head bead which is called as a Krishna bead, and 108 represents the most confidential servants of Krishna. So when we chant on the beads, apart from the Krishna bead, it's as good as we are chanting to the lotus feet of the Lord. And there is another representation as well, which states that the 108 are the most important of the Upanishads. And someone asked, where is the spiritual world? Where is the spiritual world situated, right? So the material world has certain coordinates. Similarly, the spiritual world also has certain coordinates, right? So we will be only able to understand them once we purify our senses. Remember, Mataji was just referring about Atmarama. So once we understand God, once we start devoting ourselves to God, get into a regular practice of chanting, we will be able to purify our mind, intelligence, and the false ego. Then slowly we will get rid of lust, anger, and greed as well. That's how we will be able to control our senses.
Yes, we
We
will
will,
be taking everyone's questions. Do not leave if you're able to, while we are listening to others' questions, we automatically resolve our own doubts. So stay on and listen to the questions so that you are able to resolve your own doubts and it will be helpful for your next chapters.
yeah, and I think Ratnaprabha also asked a question which says, what do you mean by bona fide spiritual guru?
Yes, bona fide spiritual guru is actually the one who is coming directly from the Guru Parampara, where when Krishna gave this knowledge, Krishna had given through four different paramparas, and those four paramparas will be introduced to you eventually. Today we have just introduced the Guru, and we'll introduce the four authorized paramparas. So only these four paramparas, whoever is coming from only these four paramparas are authorized bona fide parampara. So bona fide means a authorized parampara. For example, many people will have schools, but people who are having the actual institution will have a authorized school. For example, I can say I'm also running a school. I cannot say I'm running a school, I'm just running a tuition probably. But a school will have a proper application, they will have proper procedures, they are aligned to the ministry. So all of these procedures are there. Like that, a bona fide parampara means they have to be aligned with Krishna. And only those who are aligned with Krishna are only four paramparas. If they're coming from these four paramparas, they are the proper gurus. But if you see, there are many people in the media and also in the news and everything, we see they speak about Bhagavad Gita. Those are not correct. We should take it only from the Guru. When you take it from the Guru, he will reveal the correct way how we need to understand Krishna. When the devotee of Krishna speaks, is the best. But if you're taking it from anybody and everybody, Bhagavad Gita has a lot of commentaries which are not correct, and we should not take that.
And someone asked a question, was Mahabharata from Satya Yuga? From
Yes, Mahabharata is actually from Dwapara Yuga. It's just the previous Yuga that we passed. And we'll just take some verbal questions now. We have Sri Sanvi. You can ask, you can unmute
Yes,
yourself.
mom. Yeah, mom. So you told that every soul, every human being after it dies, it moves from one body to another. So I saw that in the picture there was Krishna and there was the body. Krishna is also in the body. So does that mean that he also moves from one body to another?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Well, Krishna is actually having the body which is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So when we take birth, we actually take birth with this body which perishes and it dies. But in case of Krishna, when he incarnates in the material world, he comes in his own actual spiritual form. So when you have if you have read the pastimes of Krishna, when Krishna was born, he was born in the four-handed form, and Devaki Mai says, "Please, can you come back to your two-handed form?" And when he comes actually in his own actual form.
but we don't, when we think, okay, my body can be, it can perish and everything. No, he comes in his own eternal form. And we have to understand that it's very difficult for human beings to perceive this. It's very inconceivable that even though Krishna was there during the Mahabharata Parva. If you've seen, when we read Mahabharata Parva, Krishna was there between Duryodhana, between Dhritarashtra. Still, nobody could recognize that Krishna is God himself. So it's inconceivable for us to understand Krishna. It's difficult for even a devotee to understand what exactly is Krishna. It can only be defined by only Krishna and also from a guru.
Prakriti, Prakriti, who's trying to ask a question.
Yes, so Prabhuji, in the ninth chapter, it says, it says that, but like you said that the soul, it never dies, but then, like it never dies, but then doesn't like it die when it's like the end of the millennium, like when the fire of destruction comes. So doesn't it die then, and then it goes back to Lord Krishna, and then sometimes it comes back, but then sometimes it stays there. So then it's like dead, and but the real soul, that is the super solar, the expansion, it goes to Lord Krishna.
Thank you very much. That was a very nice question. We will see about what exactly happens during the annihilation and also during the how about the creation and annihilation and what happens to our soul. All this will be discussed uh, when we come to the ninth chapter. And it doesn't actually die even when during the annihilation. Just to answer to your question now, just to understand, for you to understand, by during the creation or during the annihilation, no, there is no destruction of the soul. It still remains. It's eternal. Even during even when our soul is moving during the annihilation and destruction, it goes, sits inside Krishna, and it's protected by Krishna even during that time. Krishna is a real protector of all our souls. So just understand this part. We will see how exactly it gets evolved. Wait till the ninth chapter. But otherwise, if there is a probability in which comes up, we will discuss even before that. Yes.
I think
Suchay,
Suchi.
Suchi Karna or Suchay Karna. Sorry, I might be pronouncing as per what you have mentioned in your
Yeah, it's
Zoom.
Suchekarna.
Yes.
And uh, when the bodies die, which like bodies do the are there like certain bodies that the souls go into?
Yes, this is a very good question. See, when we die, we will have certain consciousness. Remember, we were seeing about our consciousness. So when we die, if we remember about Krishna, we will go to the spiritual planets. And also, it has to be our karma. Our karma and dharma has to be clean. So if I have taken a proper, if I've done a proper karma and dharma, if I have followed a proper dharma, I will go into the higher planets or even through the spiritual world. If I have not followed the prescribed duties, if I have not done my prescribed duties, and if I say, you know what, I am feeling like I want to eat like a lot of food and I want to sleep in the winters, then Krishna will say, oh, sure, take it. That's what you wish to do? Sure. You can become a bear where a bear can eat for 6 months and sleep for 6 months. And I'm so active. I want to fly all the time. Sure, you can be a bird. And so now I think I'm so bored of flying so much. I want to be somewhere cold and nicely. I want to swim. So you become a fish. So this way, Krishna approves every wish that you have in your mind only if you have done the proper karma. So if your karma is allowing and if you have wished for it, your wishes come true. So be aware of your desires. Your desires are very, very, very important. So your desires should be only to serve Krishna so that we leave this material world and go to the eternal planet of spirituality. Thank you. I see Shreya raising hand.
Yes.
Shreya, you can unmute yourself.
Ma'am, I had a doubt.
Yes.
Though Karna is a very good person, I mean, he is the son of Kunti. So when he was born, he didn't know that he was the son of Kunti. So that's the reason he he went alongside of Kauravas because he didn't know who he was. But Krishna knew. He was the person who told him that his mother is Kunti. So why did Krishna again ask Arjuna to kill him?
Yes. Sorry,
Please,
did you say
can we
yes,
see?
Shreya? Can we see your video, please?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Thank you. Yes, Shreya. Um, if you are born in whatever life or however you have born, will you accept if something wrong is going on? Will you accept that person as your friend?
No,
And if you know there is some wrong things that are going on, will you blame your birth for it and will you still go ahead with doing the
Wrongdoings?
wrongdoings?
no,
So that's why Krishna is teaching us in this chapter that however difficult it is, even if it is difficult, like there is winters coming and summers coming, even if it's in the difficult of the situation for the material existence, you should still perform your duties. Our duties of prescribed duties and our duties of swadharma, we should perform. What are they? As a son, I have to be good with my parents. As a student, I have to listen to my guru and I should listen to my teachers who are teaching me in the school. As a brother, I should protect my younger siblings, or as a younger brother, I should be able to assist my elder brothers or elder sisters. So these are our own personal duties, and we should take care of these duties. And if we don't take care of them properly, Krishna will not be able to help us. We should try to say, Krishna, I somehow want to do my duties properly. Please help me and guide me in the right direction. Please help me how I can become a greatest devotee. When you pray like this, Krishna will help you. But instead of that, if you're taking the wrong side, can anybody help us?
no.
This is
Yeah.
why Karna had to be killed in the war.
So just like for example, we all are kids here. Right now, our swadharma or dharma is right now is to study and focus on our education. That's exactly what we are supposed to do. Similarly, Karna's swadharma was to be a righteous kshatriya, which he did not.
Yes.
Okay. You taught us that our souls are all female.
Are we
Uh,
like Gopika or Krishna?
are we like Gopika or Krishna? Wow, who's that? Ratna Prabha. Okay.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
all whether it's gopis or everybody, whether it is gopi or you and me, the entire living entities, all the 84 lakh species that we were referring to, even in the spiritual world, every one of them, all of them are actually female body, I mean, female souls. Only the eternal supreme soul is Krishna, the supreme soul.
Purushottama.
He is the Purushottama, he is the only Purushottama or the Param Purusha. We are all souls in the body which is female, or the body is female or male, but the soul is not female or male. Soul is always female and eternal, that is the supreme soul. Krishna is the male body who is the Purushottama.
And your second part, are we like Gopika of Krishna? Yes, if you can start chanting and if you want to understand deeper and deeper, and there are, once you go move forward, it's a very technical context. But yes, just like Mataji was trying to explain, there are various ways that you can serve Lord in the form of what you call as a son, right? In the form of a friend, right? There are various rasas. If you think that you can become one of the rasas and want to become like a Gopika and you want to serve Lord Krishna, of course you can be a Gopika of Lord Krishna.
Yes, you can pray to be a Gopika of Krishna. Last month we had Katyayani Vrata, where most of them performed this Katyayani Vrata to become a Gopika. Thank you
Right.
very much.
Thank you so much. So we will do a small kirtan.
Yes.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Closing.
That was pronounced to everyone. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow with Karma Yoga tomorrow. I'll just do the closing prayers. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की
Jai.
तैं गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hari Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all.
We'll
With
be
all your
ending.
permission, I will leave the meeting. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If
See you all
if you
tomorrow.
all can read the third chapter of Karma Yoga, it would be great. You will be able to understand better tomorrow.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Hare Krishna.